Clubhouse, for example. Amazing new platform that came out that like people just flocked to, spent hours and hours and hours on, and got all of these Instagram followers. But you know what? If it's not your bag and it's not part of your strategy, then don't stress yourself about it.
Hello and welcome to the Kelly Lindberg podcast. I'm your host, business mentor, personal brand and style expert. On a personal mission to inspire a minimum of 5 people daily to take action. And to me, that means just doing something differently or being inspired to just do something that, you know, the best version of you would be so happy with. If you're one of my 5 a day, then please let me know because I don't always hear. So drop me a review or come and say hi on Instagram if something that was shared in this podcast really motivated you to do something different. So a few months ago, I was invited to speak on Penny's Get Momentum podcast, and I loved her no-nonsense approach to life and business, and knew when I was ready to relaunch my podcast, I wanted her as one of my first 10 guests. I loved her passion for fitness, for finance, and the openness of discussing money and how not to be scared to want to earn more to be able to deliver a bigger impact. So here's what she had to say in this episode. Enjoy! Welcome to the show, Penny.
Hi, thanks for having me all the way from New Zealand.
Awesome stuff. Now, how we originally connected was I saw, and I always think it's really good to know how do you get people on a show or why are they part of it. And I remember I saw you through, and it was Denise Duffield-Thomas. And I think you had interviewed her. And I was like, I need to go in and find out who this lady is. I found your podcast. And then I was on your podcast, and it's just now we follow each other on social media, and you inspire me so much with your fitness and running. And for those that follow me on social media know that I hate running. Is that something that you were just love doing over the years, or has it been something that you embraced recently?
No, it is something that I rewrote my story on. And I think that's kind of where I'm heading more in my business as well, is you are in control of your life more than you really realize. And I think probably a lot of people are finding that really difficult at the moment with COVID, thinking, well, I'm not. But for example, running, I was terrible at it. I absolutely hated it. And like, if you talk to one of my very, very old friends, you'll know that I used to be great at the 100-meter sprint, hold my own on the 200-meter sprint and the high jump. That was it. Short, explosive, like bits of power, and that was it. And then I decided that I was going to get into running and a bit of a health kick. So I did the lamppost run, which was like run one lamppost, walk one, one, walk one. And I sort of got up to 5K that way, and I was just like, I hate running. And then something just, I just told myself, well, I'm either going to hate this while I'm doing it, or I'm going to tell myself I enjoy doing this. So instead, every time I said I hate running, I was just like, I love running, like ridiculously loud, out loud, like Phoebe of Friends, who's running around shaking. And yeah, the rest is really history, like I've come second in New Zealand's penultimate ultra marathon, 82K. I've done 18 Ironmans. I've done like 40 marathons. It just clicked. It just changed. And yeah, and I would say now I'm a runner.
How does that affect, you and your business? Would you say that, that gives you the time to think about your business, or is it the escapism, or, what is there a connection to that?
I think it evolves over time. So when I first started, it was because I wanted to quit smoking. And so it was a distraction. So every time I wanted to pick up a cigarette, I would put on my running shoes and go out the door, right? And so that way I also didn't put on weight, because a lot of the time I was thinking, well, if I give up smoking, I'm going to become a big fatty because I'm just going to sit here eating Tim Tams and chocolate biscuits. So that was kind of a really good way for me to exchange one addiction for another. And then, so that was the first thing, right? And then as running has evolved and I stopped going, I love running, and just run, I actually, I solve all the world's problems while I run. And often it gives me really good headspace to have some clarity on ideas that I'm thinking about, or creativity that just doesn't come when you're sitting at your desk and emails are pinging in, or the temptation of looking at Instagram or Pinterest or whatever your vice is just too great. And then all of a sudden you think, oh, maybe I just go for a drink or a coffee, or, so running really forces you to focus just on running. The other really interesting thing is people say, oh, I don't believe in meditation, I don't have time, whatever excuse you have. Running or swimming or cycling or anything that uses that bilateral movement is the same as breathing in and out, in and out. So it's the same as it's a moving meditation. So if you're too fidgety to do meditation, or, you've got like a 2.5-year-old toddler like I do upstairs who like meditation, if you don't do it while he's asleep, it ain't happening, then running or cycling or swimming is really good. And that's what people talk about, getting in that like runner's high. Or, how some people say, oh, well, I can be out running for I just lose time. And people who don't like running are like, how the fuck do you lose time? Like, seriously, I count every freaking second until that 30-minute timer goes off.
One of those people, I just hate it to the point I've got a rebounder so I can do my step and my cardio with the the little mini trampolines, so I don't have to run.
Yeah. So, and like running's not the only be all an indoor sport, but I think as time has gone on, my evolution of what running means to me in my business and my life has evolved. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And actually, we didn't intend to talk about this. It's just organically started on the running.
Yeah.
There's a running podcast, and they interview all people that you should go and look at it. I think it's the Runners Podcast. I'll screenshot it and find it, but that could be a great show for you to reach out to them as someone who's done 40, was it triathlons or marathons that you've done?
Yeah, I've done about 40 marathons. Yeah.
And it's all people that you can listen to it while you're running, but it's also what you've said, that evolution of what running means to you. So awesome. Well, maybe we should give a bit of a backstory. So tell people, what it is that you do, and because running is not actually your business. It's just I see all these really cute pictures of your son and of you working out, and with the time difference, you post them, and I'm either in my bed or I'm having a glass of wine, feeling really bad.
Classic. So I'm Penny Elliot. I live in New Zealand. I'm New Zealand born and bred, and I used to be the sort of sales go-to person for your online business. But as I have evolved, and much like my running has evolved, and much like everything in your life evolves, I have really noticed that a lot of people in their business, I was giving them all the sales tools, right? All the tactics, all the strategies, all of the exact words to say when someone says no, or I need to go and talk to my husband, my auntie, my uncle, the budgie, whatever it is, before they can invest. And they still, some were getting really good results and some weren't. And I was like, this is really weird. Why are some people doing really well and other people are still building their website, 9 weeks later, or still getting no's? And it comes down to people's energy and their wealth productivity. And so that's what I'm really focusing on, helping entrepreneurs develop and grow now. And by energy, I don't mean chakras and crystals. I mean focusing on your sleep, hydration, exercise, nutrition. I'm not a nutritionist, but there are some simple rules of feeding yourself to do well versus feeding yourself to feel like shit. And so those are the sort of 4 pillars. And then about creating wealth is about being productive. And it's about having the confidence to move forward to do that every single day. And that's where a lot of people fall over in their online businesses. And I mean, you work with people to create a beautiful brand and create them as the brand. And if they are putting all this work and effort into it, but they're not asking for the sale, or they're not, putting their products out there every day or letting people know, then they're, the world's best kept secret. And so you have to have energy to do that every single day. Some days you're just like, oh my God, I just don't feel like it. I just don't want to do it. And so it's, how do you move yourself from that place to the place of doing at least one thing to create wealth productivity that day?
So would you say that's one of the biggest mistakes then that people hold themselves back, is that not doing that one step? Is that the most common thing, or?
Yeah, I do. I find that it's disguised. It's like a wolf in disguise, in lots of different guises. But when you drill down into it, and my 5 years of coaching female entrepreneurs online with their sales strategy, it has always come down to that. Once you peel those clothes off, it always comes down to the fact that their mindset isn't strong enough to force themselves to do it every day. And sometimes it's a force and sometimes it's not. And if they haven't slept properly the night before, they've had, it's like a big cycle basically. So you go to bed really late because you're working on something. The next morning you wake up and you're tired. When you're tired, your vibe is shit, and people pick up on that, right? So you get on a sales call and you're like, oh, hi, how's it going? And you don't give yourself, the ability to succeed and to receive that person's interest, really. They're like, oh my God, she's yawning. That's a bit rude. Or, oh, I must be upsetting her because she's tired, or I don't want to take her time. And then you think, oh, that call didn't go very well. Well, I'm going to have another cup of coffee, and I'll have a chocolate biscuit as well, because fuck it, today's like a write-off, right? And then you're meant to go do some exercise, and you're like, nah, don't think I can be bothered. I really have to finish that thing that I didn't finish last night. But I just can't work out what to put on the sales page, or how to take the photo of that product or something. And as you can see, it all just sort of spirals in a downhill. And then you're like, oh, I'm just going to go to bed tonight. Oh, I might have a glass of wine before I go to bed. Fuck it, I'll have two, right? And that's where your energy is so, so, so important, because if you reverse that day, you went to bed a bit earlier, you didn't finish the sales page, but you got up the next morning and you did your 30 minutes of, how you do your high intensity stuff on the roof. You might have gone, I've got it. I know exactly the line I need to write on my sales page. Or someone might, you might be selling sports equipment, and someone's like, oh, far out. These are really, at the moment, the gym is killing my hands. Ow, I can't lift things because it hurts my hands. Sounds really wimpy. But so I might be going, oh my God, I can't lift that next weight because my hands hurt so much from yesterday. And someone's like, I bought these gloves. They're awesome. And you're like, oh, that's what I need, right? That's what I need to put into my portfolio of sports equipment, or, or whatever it might be. And you have that divine inspiration because you've gone to bed earlier, you've slept well, you've got clarity of thought, you have the ability to go out and do exercise and get creative. You drink water because you don't need, everyone needs a coffee, let's be honest, maybe two, but you don't need 6 of them, right? So you're not whacking yourself up on caffeine that's got a half-life that's going to keep you wired until 10 o'clock at night anyway, right? So it's all, and then you're fueling yourself with good foods, which helps your brain keep moving forward, which gives you deeper sleep, which then keeps moving forward, and it helps your mindset. So I really do think that the people who've succeeded in this world have looked after themselves as number one.
Which kind of goes against a lot of these things that you see on social media, which, there's I don't know, the original mentor or mindset, or these kind of Instagram feeds where it's hustle hard, or, you can sleep when you've made the money, or, there's nearly this shame to say, I went to bed at 9 o'clock last night or 10 o'clock. And how do we shift that? Because there is this, well, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to hustle hard, you have to work hard. And it's all about that. Where does the change happen?
Yeah. So it's I think bad stories sell. I've been in media for a long, long time as a journalist and a magazine editor for IPC Media in London. And, bad stories sell. That's why we're still hearing so much shit about COVID, because that scaremongering works. So like, if you hustle hard, you can wear the badge of honor and like,
Totally.
I can have lots of money because I worked really fucking hard for it. So don't rag me out because I worked hard. I was messaging people while I was sitting on the toilet. I wasn't reading the news feed. Right.
True. Yeah.
And it's super masculine. It's super masculine. Well, we're sitting on the toilet thinking, God, what else do I need to put on that grocery list? And why does she look so good in her Instagram post? Bitch, I need to lose some more weight. Like this is what women think, right? And all of this like successful habits, the 5 a.m. routine, the Buddha routine, the blah, 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 blah. All these routines that are like get up at sparrow's fart and like spend hours meditating and doing yoga. Oh, and then go for a surf and drive your Tesla to the office and work all day. Don't have children, aren't women, don't have like emotional cycles that go on 28 days.
Mm-hmm.
Their emotions regenerate every 24 hours. That's why the clock is 24 hours, right? So I really think that where the change is going to happen is the fact that women can say, look, we can do stuff differently. We don't have to hustle hard. Because the money that I earn, I don't feel shameful about. So I don't need an excuse to say I've made money.
Yeah. So what are some of the things? Yeah, for me it does. I just think some people listening might be like, well, what are the things that I can do that will take me a step closer to that? So like, what are some of the things that maybe you've implemented that have allowed you to sort of embrace this better routine? Or is to say, like, I go to bed super early, so I'm asleep by 10 o'clock. I know that works way better for me. And I don't kill myself when I wake up going, oh, you were in bed early. It's part of just what I do. I'm just a more morning person. What are some of the things that someone listening could be like, right, I could apply that would actually help me rather than having that hustle hard, let's work, 24 hours because we can wear that badge?
Yeah. So one, that badge might get you money really quickly, but in my experience watching all of my other entrepreneurial friends, they've all had massive burnout and then not earned anything for 6 months.
Ooh,
so
interesting. That's a really good observation.
It all evens out.
Yeah. So true.
Right. So I would rather not lose my friends, your health, everything, and have to rebuild and start from zero. You might still have a big following and everything, but 6 months in the online world is like 9 years out of, in the old world. And also all of that is long-term health implications that can come from burnout. I would rather just grow at a rate that's really fun and exciting. So first of all, know that bragging about hustling and working really hard is actually like really, last year's, probably even the year before's badge of honor. So like, one, you're not very fashionable. And two, just give yourself a break, like actually don't tell anyone that you're going to, if you find it hard to like admit, don't tell anyone you're going to bed at 10. I think it's like your dirty little secret, right? Like, shh, I'm going to bed. And then if you think, oh, that's good for you, but I've got this, and this, and this, and I can't because I need to make money. I'll tell you right now, if you are on more than maybe 2 or 3 platforms, and you don't have a team that is distributing all of that onto all of those platforms, you aren't doing them a service at all, and you are losing loads and loads and loads out of heaps of holes in your funnel bucket, in your sales bucket. So Clubhouse, for example, amazing new platform that came out that like people just flocked to, spend hours and hours and hours on, and got all of these Instagram followers. But you know what? If it's not your bag and it's not part of your strategy, then don't stress yourself about it.
Mm-hmm.
Have a bit of a look. Think, oh, this is cool. Yeah. Am I going to drop something else off my list to take this on? Right.
And it's time.
And the reason why.
It's a lot of time, Clubhouse.
Oh, it is. And you can't fast forward them either.
No.
I listen to everything on 1.2, 1.5. And so when I actually had to listen to Clubhouse at normal speed, I was like, why are they talking so slow? It was hilarious. I was like, why can't I speed these guys up? And I was like, oh, it's live. So everyone has the same amount of time. If you want to take on something new, then you need to remove something else, and that's either like sleep, eating, toilet, your children, your partner,
Exercise.
exercise. So look at your schedule and you think, okay, we'll take Clubhouse, for example, because it's hot at the moment, and you're like, yeah, okay, well, if you're going to put Clubhouse in, then do you take Pinterest out? Do you take email automation out? Do you take guest blogging out? Do you take guest podcasting out? What is it that you're using for your lead gen that you take out or completely outsource it, right? So you might go, okay, well, Pinterest, for example, probably works really well for a lot of your listeners. So Pinterest, okay, well, I've done really well with Pinterest. We create 40% of our revenue through Pinterest. I can't drop this, but Clubhouse is ringing in my ear. I really want to play in Clubhouse. So Pinterest isn't your voice, nor is your face. A lot of it's, can be pre-made and put on there. So therefore, hire someone to do that while you go and play in Clubhouse. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Instead of staying up an extra hour.
Yeah.
Because I'm reading a book at the moment called Why We Sleep. And if you cut off the sleep at the top of the night, at the beginning of the night, that is your deep, most people know this, your deep sleep. And that is where you restore all the cells in your body, right? So if you cut that off early in the night, you won't just have it later in the night. It's actually like nocturnally when it is dark and when you go straight into sleep at the beginning of the night. So you're basically doing cell damage, and directly relating a lot of this to Alzheimer's, cancer, lots of like cell degenerative diseases. If you want all the facts and stats, then I recommend you read the book. But also if you're waking up too early, which is something I sometimes do to just kind of fit everything in before Josh wakes up, that is when you're in your light sleep, your rapid eye movement. And that is when you're processing all your emotions and thoughts and things that you saw yesterday or last week, and you're putting them into files of like, do I need to keep this? Do I need to ditch this? Do I need to think about this a little bit more? How do I fit into the world with all of these different thoughts and emotions? So if you're cutting that off too, then it's to the point where you can't actually read people's facials. So when you see someone and they completely blank you sometimes, and they're like, oh, sorry, I haven't been sleeping very well. It's because they just can't. They haven't had the emotional kind of repair sleep that we need to have. So that's why I wouldn't go on Clubhouse versus taking an hour of your sleep away.
Well, just on that sort of marketing platforms there, and we were talking about social, and you've had a podcast now. How many episodes are you on in your podcast?
About 40.
And how have you found that as a marketing tool, or is it content generation, or what do you find great about podcasting for you?
Well, personally, I really love talking to new people. I find it really interesting. I'm the kind of person that when you go to someone's house, I'm like, oh yeah, take me for a tour around the house. So it's kind of like taking a tour around someone's business. And then also I found it really great because I was really picky with the people I've had on my podcast so far. And I wanted to elevate my profile basically by interviewing much like really high end guests to launch the podcast. So I found that a lot of people were like, oh, she's interviewed, XYZ, so she must be, like it's that natural like thought process that you think, oh, well, if they can get this person on their podcast, then she must be at their level as well.
And then I saw you through someone else on their page.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I need to go in and find it. So case in point, it works.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is there anything in your industry or in the industry that we're in, which there's probably quite a few, that you would be like, I'd really like to debunk this myth? I always think that's a really interesting question to ask, because people have all sorts of ideas of what they think the industry that you're in is like. What do you want to debunk?
I think that wealth or being rich or having lots of money or however you see it, however you get triggered, doesn't make you a bitch,
Interesting.
right? I see
Very.
that so much. Like, for example, we just won the America's Cup. So I'm not sure when this is going to air, but everyone will know by then. We've just won the America's Cup. And it's sponsored by Prada, and the head of Prada was there handing out all the medals. And I said, wow, I bet you he is one rich mofo. How cool is that? And like my partner was like, yeah, fucking boss. You know, and I'm like, he's not. Just because he's probably worked very hard to get that role,
Yeah.
like knows the rag trade inside out, and it doesn't make you a bad person.
And more people need to embrace that mentality versus I get it a lot. I just want to help people. It doesn't matter if I don't make money, but I just want to help people.
Yeah, so that's like when I was in the sales world, it was like I called it the little girl voice, and like really stopping women bringing out the little girl voice when it comes to the sales piece. So they're like really excited, yeah, buy my yoga class, this is amazing, like it's going to help your back, it's going to help you like feel really fresh, it's going to make you feel great, la 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 la, it's really easy. And the person's like, oh my god, this is amazing, I totes want this, like just tell me how much it is and when I can sign up and can I start today. And the person on the other, the person who's selling the yoga class is like, oh yeah, so yes, so how does that sound? And the other person, like, they're not reading the situation at all, just more worried about like sounding greedy. And so they're going, yeah, I'm really keen. How much is it? Well, so like I know you've been in lockdown for so long, so you probably haven't, like, I mean, I don't know, you may earn some money, or I'm not sure, but yeah, so I'm doing it as a special. So usually it's like $99, but I'm gonna do it for like 29, and I'll throw in this and this free meditation. I'll send you a yoga mat, I'll send you a yoga block. And like if you want to cuddle my cat as well while you think about it, then that's totally fine.
I love that. The little girl voice. That is brilliant.
And all that is your projection on the fact that you don't want to look like you're a rich bitch, right? That's all it is. Because if you actually thought about the fact that the person's going, oh my God, yes, if I don't have a sore back, I don't care how much it is, I want to pay for that.
Yeah.
Right? You could just go, oh, look, it's $99 and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best $99 you've ever paid. And be like, oh, cool. Okay.
Where do I sign?
Yeah, right. And you don't have to, like, I think the myth I want to debunk is just because you've got lots of money doesn't mean that you are then going to like have only shop in boutique fancy shops and only drive a Maserati and only, go on super yachts and like forget all your friends and family. It's just not true.
So good. So good advice. Okay, so let's wrap up with one more question. So I always think there's so much we can learn from each other in terms of resources or books or apps. What in your business has really helped you or been a game changer, personally or professionally, in over the last few years?
Wow, mine's really boring, but very, very effective. It's called Toggl, TOGGL.com.
Okay.
And it is a timer. And you might be like, what? But so many people waste so much time in their business and they get to the end of the week and they're like, oh my God, I was so busy. And what did you do? And it's usually you've spent a lot of time fluffing around doing things that aren't creating wealth in your business. So by using the timer, you actually type in whatever it is that you're working on and push the timer. And and then you push stop at the end. It also shows you just how much time you fluff around doing the washing, vacuuming, especially if you work from home.
How many times you open the fridge door?
Yes, exactly. And so it actually shows you a return on investment of your time. So, for example, if I'm setting up a webinar, I know roughly it takes me probably about 15 hours to set up the funnel, the introductory videos, the graphic, the banner change, and writing the content. So I know that, it takes me about that amount of time. So I can't just go, oh, I'm going to do one next week.
Mm-mm-mm. And that's
So it
planning.
gives,
That's better planning. So you can, rather than overcome things like overwhelm or running out of time or frustrations, because then you know exactly how long it actually takes you.
yeah. So if we talked about podcasting, right? So I know it takes about 2.5 hours for me to produce a podcast episode and put it up to the platforms.
Yeah.
So also the other empowering thing about this app, and I use it on my browser as well, is that when you go to get a VA and outsource stuff, the wool's not pulled over your eyes.
Yeah. And it's
Right?
so easy to hire someone, but it's hard to track them because everything is kind of virtual, or you can how long it's actually going to take you to do it, so how long it should take them to do it.
Should be even less because they're professionals at it.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Awesome. Love that. I'm going to link that in the show notes. So how can people follow your journey and, listen to what it is, tune into your podcast, share all the details so people can find out?
Yeah. So my podcast is Get Momentum by Penny Elliot. I think it's Get Momentum for online entrepreneurs on like some of the platforms. But if you just put Get Momentum Penny Elliot with 2 T's, you'll find it. I also have a book on Amazon, same title. So that's how you can create 100K in 100 days without overwhelm, burnout, and sort of popping your lid really at your family. And so you can go to Amazon and grab that as well. And then obviously you can follow me on Instagram at Penny_Elliot with 2 T's _. And you'll see my lots of wealth and energy tips in the grid, but then my story is definitely full of just day-to-day life. It's like I'm showing you around my house.
Yeah, and real time, running to pick up your little boy and just out at the weekends. And I think that's part and parcel of this sort of connection of brand and how people identify with and Instagram stories is a great way to do it.
Yeah, I love it. So yes, my latest feat is I am trying a WBFF bikini competition. So again, I'm like rewriting my story, my identity.
Explain a little bit more what that is. What is it? What is it?
It's World Beauty, Fashion and Fitness.
Okay.
And it is I don't know if there's one in Dubai, but it's like the old school bodybuilding competition made beautiful. So think of like Victoria's Secrets meets athlete. It's
nice. You could do their marketing.
Yeah, you'll go down the rabbit. Huh?
Says you should do their marketing for them. That was a nice analogy.
Yes, well, you'll go down the rabbit hole of this now while you're having a coffee, going and searching it. And so it's less about cardio, more about weights. Okay. So I've been doing it for about, 7 or 8 weeks now. And the first time in the gym, I was like, I've been to the gym for triathlon, but I had like my set routine. I was in for half an hour and out. And this is like all these different weights to like grow your muscles in different places and get like the sculpture. And I've got to wear 6.5-inch heels. There can't be anything over that, fashion shoes. And you get these like glittery bikinis made that are, anywhere between like $1,000 and $5,000. I'm like, wow, that's quite a lot. I won't be jumping in the spa pool in that bad boy. And you have like all these walks and big feathery outfits and ball gowns and so it's
it's a competition then. When's the competition?
July the 3rd for New Zealand, but they have them all over the world, and the world champs is in Vegas or Miami this year. So
awesome. Well, every success to that, and thank you so much for your time and just sharing your knowledge and just you, and I loved it. Thank you, Penny.
No worries. Enjoy, everyone. See ya.
Cheers. Bye. Thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode today. I'd love to know what inspired you the most. Was there something that was said? Was there a real takeaway that you're like, do you know what? I'm actually going to go away and implement this. Then if there is, head over to Instagram because I hang out there and I really want to hear what it is you say. Come and leave me a DM. Tell me the best part, or even better, share it with a friend and inspire them too. We are growing weekly and it's all down to you. Thank you so much in advance. Reviewer of the week actually left this message and it made me so happy. Awesome podcast. Every episode gives me an insight into how I can grow my business brand and manage my life around this. Can't wait for the next episode. That was from DKUB2387. So they mean so much. If you haven't left a review yet, then please do head on over to Apple Podcasts, rate and review. And don't forget, be inspired and keep following your dreams. Until next time, bye for now.